Alright, hello and welcome. My name is Myre, and this is the Q&A for the RSI Scorpius. So let's go ahead and have a look. Alright, so, can the turret be controlled by the pilot? If so, does it fire in conjunction with the forward-facing weapons, or is it controlled separately? So, not by default. However, it's a remote turret. It will likely be able to be slaved by a computer blade in the future, where it'll be locked facing forwards in the upper position. Okay, so that's cool to know. So, we know that server blades are coming in at some point, and it seems like from this wording that even things like the Hurricane and others will be able to have their turret weapons slaved facing forwards, so even if you're a single player, you'll be able to use all the guns. But out the gate, this is not the case for the ship, and we know this is coming out like at the end of March next year, so like it looks like what's gonna happen is it's gonna come out. You're gonna need a co-pilot until we get server blades and stuff, unless miraculously we get that system in before then. All right, and this is a cool picture of it right here as well, with the turrets spun backwards shooting at stuff. But yeah, we haven't seen the roadmap yet talk about things like server blades, so whenever that happens is when we get that as a feature. So is the turret fixed to one or of two positions, upper facing, forward facing and lower rear facing, or is it freely movable between the two extremes? So it can only be used in the two positions. During transition, it's unable to fire, though that transition is relatively quick to minimize downtime. So that was my question. I was kind of thinking that maybe perhaps if it was like dynamic, you would kind of want to have the turret like just at the edge of the, of that turning point. But it looks like, there's point A and point B, and there's a transition for it. All right, so how long does it take the turret to move from one end of its rail to the other? And does it move fast enough to accurately follow a small dogfighter like the Gladius? So the current time taken is less than 5 seconds to move from top side to bottom side. Whether or not it's fast enough for a Gladius is hard to say, as there's so many variables, but we intend for it to be quick enough to not hinder combat. So as far as tracking a Gladius, I mean like a Gladius going from your top side to your bottom side, I'm not really sure exactly like the use cases to use, the back gun here, because this is like specifically if something is gunning behind you. When you're nestled in there, then like you can see the wings actually block your left and right views. So it's not like an omni gun, it's very situational. And for 5 seconds to go from top to bottom, I don't think it's going to be used as dynamically as perhaps people think it might be. Alright, so can I equip the remote turret with an AI blade? So yes, like all remote turrets on vehicles, we plan for this to be the case if you have the blade capacity on board. So there we go, that's basically now confirmed for all ships. Is there a way for the pilot and gunner to quickly escape in an emergency? For example, ejection seats, escape pod, or something similar. So the ship comes as standard with 2 ejection seats that can fire independently. Okay, let's hope that, like the pilot can't fire the co-pilot's ejection seat, for a laugh. Can you fire the wing weapons when the fighter is in its landed state? That's a good question, because the landed state's shown right here with the weapons facing backwards. That could be interesting situationally, but I'm not sure. So when in the landed states, the weapons are folded away to reduce the ship's overall size, so they are unable to be fired. Well, there we go. Okay, so does the unique turret benefit from any special target assistance, such as additional auto gimbal assistance? So no, it's just a regular remotely controlled turret and has all the features existing turrets have. Fair enough. So what size of ships does it fit into? So we designed the landed state to make sure it fits the metrics for extra small or size 2 landing pads. Very interesting. So by extra small, can it fit inside, I don't know, a Carrack? This is in line with the majority of our other fighters and allows it to fit inside a Polaris. I'm guessing it's not going to fit a Polaris, but there we go. It will at least fit it won't fit a Carrack, but it will fit a Polaris. So will the turret's degree of freedom be restricted differently depending on the wing state? So there'll be different fire arcs depending on the position, but we only envisage you being able to use the turret in this deployed wing state. And they also said earlier that the guns will be disabled then. So a bit of conflicting information, but I don't think that they'll be activated when they're folded backwards. So, but by freedom, are they talking about like weapon freedom or like just ship movement? So are the turret guns bespoke, and can they be customized or swapped out? What's the maximum weapon size it accepts? So the turret guns are standard size 3 weapons and can be customized like any other. So they start off ballistic, but you can change them out. How does its flight range compare to that of the Vanguard or the Hurricanes? The Vanguard is a long-range fighter, and the Hurricane, well, the Hurricane is the Hurricane. So it's closer in flight range and style to that of the Hurricane, but slower in SEM due to the larger mass. As part of the work to introduce the Scorpius to the game, we'll reevaluate the speed and handling of this type of ship to ensure that they all fit the desired goals, as we noticed some irregularities in the existing tunings. Oh, really? Really? The Vanguard remains a long-range heavy fighter and benefits from larger fuel tanks and onboard living to support extended duration flight. I would really like to see what CIG's current stance on where light fighters, medium fighters, and heavy designated fighters now are, and how they're supposed to interplay. Like, if you're in a light fighter, can you fight? Are you supposed to be able to fight heavy fighters? Like, what is, you know, the goal and the role of all these different ships? So how does its armor compare to the Vanguard, Hurricane, and Super Hornet? So it has equal armor levels to the Hurricane, really? Okay, slightly less than the Super Hornet and less than the Vanguard. So in that case, it really is a glass cannon alternative to the Hurricane. Alright, so where does the ship sit compared to other fighters like the Super Hornet, Vanguard, and Hurricane? So within the, I guess, the weight class of heavy ships. So it sits very much in the mix with them all, and all have pluses and minuses when compared to each other. The Scorpius is most closely compared to the Hurricane, though trades a man's turret for a remote one. I'm not sure why trading is the word being used there, considering I would think a remote turret is probably more beneficial, because if somebody targets that man's turret and shoots the man in the man turret, wouldn't that kill the person? But yeah, compared to the Super Hornet, it's slightly stronger offensively, but doesn't benefit from the Hornet's chassis modularity, because the Hornet's supposed to be able to do a whole bunch of things. You can change out that turret for cargo, change it out for like a whole bunch of other stuff as well. Compared to the Vanguard, the Scorpius provides less forward-facing offensive power in favor of greater coverage. But I mean, you can still slave that gun forwards and then maybe perhaps have comparable forward firepower. Why would I pick the Scorpius over the Hurricane? So both ships have the same role, but if you want a slightly more flexible turret position, providing more fire angles independent of the pilot's control, then the Scorpius provides that. So if you have a terrible pilot, then you might want the then you might want the Scorpius over the Hurricane, essentially, is basically what I'm getting from this. All right. Anyway, that's that for the Q&A for the Hurricane. Thank you so much for watching, if you are watching this on YouTube. And we'll catch you for the next one of these whenever they do release another ship or Q&A. And as always, guys, be good.